With any creative medium, you have to be very careful with how you give and receive criticism. And I'm probably not the best at it, but based on my personal experience and what I think kind of works and what doesn't work is the way I like to give criticism or feedback or anything. Like, let's say I'm critiquing someone else's work. I always like to phrase it in the context of like suggestions, like, because that's what it is. I'm just suggesting my opinion. Oftentimes, people will be a little bit too strong with their feedback, and there are certainly some things that like must be changed. But with creative projects, people get very attached to them. So you have to soften that blow by phrasing it as a suggestion or a recommendation. Like, hey, maybe if you did this, it would work better. Or why don't you try this? Or could we do that? Maybe that's a good way to do it. Maybe it's passive aggressive. I don't know. But that's kind of how I like to receive feedback on my stuff. Is like, oh, I liked it, but it would be better if maybe, what if you tried this? And that's the one thing I do like. If you have a problem with something and you're giving criticism, it's always, always, always important that you give an actual solution, not just say like, oh, that sucks or that looks bad, but why it looks bad, why it sucks, and what could be done to improve it. That's something that film school is actually really good at because we had to critique each other's work all the time. And it's really hard at first because you get so attached to your own stuff that if you're not giving and receiving criticism in the right way, people's feelings get hurt, they make enemies or whatever. Like, it's not a good situation to be in, but it has to happen, right? You have to be able to give and take criticism because that's how things get better. I don't think I've ever seen something that just one person did in isolation away from everyone else without anyone else's feedback that's been good. I think you need a leader, you need a person with vision and a person who's in charge on a project, but I still think you need other voices around them kind of saying, hey, what if you tried this? Or what if we did that? I hit walls all the time where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. What should we do? And I'm looking for feedback and input, but I don't want to hear it as someone else just saying like what we have to do. I want it as like a suggestion of like, what if we try this? And say, oh, that's a good idea because that sparks an idea I have, and let's make it even better and just keep iterating on it. Obviously, there are times where there are too many cooks in the kitchen and you don't want to just be listening to everyone's feedback because people have conflicting feedback. Some person says that it looks great and someone else says it looks horrible. And how are you ever going to resolve that? You're not going to. You have to pick one. And the only person you can rely on at the end of the day is yourself. So if you take all that stuff as suggestions, as recommendations, then you can look at it and say, okay, what do I actually want to do? What are they seeing here? Why is that a problem? Okay, what can I do to fix whatever issue it is they're having? Maybe they're just a crazy person, and that's totally fine, but that's usually not it. They're usually picking up on something, noticing something that is an issue. It's a distraction, something that bumps them, it rubs them the wrong way, and maybe they don't know. That's the other part. Like, they might not know why they don't like something, and they might not know how to fix it. But it's still valuable to know in those situations what those moments are so you can do your best to try and fix it. So I'd really recommend that you give and take criticism as suggestions, as friendly advice. It's never going to feel good to hear that something isn't working or something's bad or it could be better. But at the end of the day, if that makes the project better, that should make you happier, right? Like, if I did a short film or a commercial or music video, something like that, me being in charge of it, I want it to be the best it can be. And at a certain point, I'm only one person. I can only take it so far. So I need that additional input. It might hurt. It might feel bad because they might question some of my decisions. But if I made them for good reasons and there's a valid reason to keep it the way it is, then I keep it the way it is. But they might also be seeing something that I hadn't noticed, or this happens too, where you do something and you're like, you make a compromise, right? Because maybe it's going to take too long to fix that issue. Maybe there's a problem and someone else notices it and you're like, yeah, I saw that too, but there wasn't a good way for me to fix it easily. And for me, often that comes down to just laziness. Like, I just don't want to take those extra few steps to make it better because I'm hoping it'll get, slide by and I'll get a pass on it. But the moment someone raises a red flag on it and says, whoa, what happened right there? I know I have to take that extra time and not be lazy and go in and fix that issue and fix that problem. Because if I don't, other people are going to see that and they're going to raise the red flag. And the last thing you want when anyone's watching anything you do is for them to be thinking about anything other than what you want them to be thinking about, which is the story, the message, the visuals, whatever you're trying to convey in that piece. That's what you want them focused on. You don't want them focused on like, oh, that shot looks kind of weird, or oh, whoa, what are they doing with the editing right there? Oh, that's an interesting choice, or oh, why did the actor change? Like crazy stuff you see, right? So give and take feedback in that pattern, and hopefully that makes your stuff better. Again, be careful of the too many cooks in the kitchen, and you don't have to listen to everybody, but it's very rare that I hear stuff from people that is totally just crazy. Most of the time, it's good feedback. Well, how do I say this? Okay, a lot of times people give me feedback that I have to filter in terms of figuring out what they're actually trying to say. Because a lot of times you'll get feedback from people who aren't necessarily versed in video or in what you did or why you did the stuff the decisions you made. And so they'll give you feedback and you're like, okay, well, it's probably because, they feel like it's slow because I have these really long shots in there. Maybe that's intentional, maybe it's not. Or they feel like it's slow because I'm doing long takes, or my editing, or the music, or I'm trying to think of other reasons why it could be slow. But you know what I mean? Like they'll say, like, they'll give you something like, oh, it feels rushed. And maybe it just means you need to extend the scene longer, or maybe you just need to extend the duration of each clip. It could be a bunch of different stuff and you have to kind of filter it, but that's kind of on a point by point basis. In general, just look at feedback, take it as suggestions, and ask. That's okay. Ask for people to portray it that way. Like, hey, can you look at this and give me some of your suggestions? I think that's a totally valid way to ask someone to give you feedback. And if you have something you want me to look at and give you my suggestions, I'm happy to do it. Some people have asked me already. Just leave a comment and I'll go check out your thing, whatever it is, and I'll try and do my best to give you some valuable suggestions and not just tear it apart, because no one likes that.